Oh my God, who the hell cares?
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome one and all to PACIFIC414 Pop Talk, along with Baron Norman Tag and our guest host for today, Lord Crit. I am your host, Mike, and to start off this afternoon's show, we are going to talk about Star Trek Picard. Now, I do want to give everybody a fair warning that there is a very good chance that this episode review will have spoilers.
Well, I can tell you that right now. There's going to be a shitload of spoilers because that's the only way we can really talk about this episode, honestly, if we're going to get lit for a shot.
Yep, you're exactly right, Baron. I mean, we could try to talk about it without spoilers, but it's not going to do it any favors.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't really call this a review more than a reaction or a critique than anything else. So,
yeah.
I think critique. Why is Orca Boy laughing? I get nervous when he starts laughing. You hear that little giggle in the background? Yes.
Well, you know, he's probably giggling because he has the same thoughts that we do. And some of his thoughts do differ from ours, and that's fine. That's why we're going to do this review portion first before we do the invite section of today's broadcast, which I do want to say that once we get into the review portion and we're finished with it, that's when I will post the links, and I invite everybody to be there. And as you see there on the screen, I will pin it into the chat once we are finished. Now, what I ask from anyone, whether you're in the chat or you're on the panel, be respectful to those who are here. We all have different ideas and different ways we're looking at things. Let's all be respectful of one another's opinions. And let's try not to talk over one another.
Sounds good to me. But remember, I'm always right.
Wait. I have a card that says rule number 1. Mike is always right. Rule number 2. If Mike is wrong, see rule number 1.
You really got a card that says that?
Yeah. It's actually in storage. My parents gave it to me as a joke, and
oh my word, people! This is what I have to put up with. You know, usually he's the one that's saying that look at what he's got to put up with. Now look what I got to put up with.
Before we get into the review, I do want to acknowledge those who are in the chat. I do want to acknowledge the first person to leave a message, and that was Lorenzo's Sleestack. Thank you, Lorenzo. And we also have Captain Fandom Nerd. I saw Kathy Skywalker in there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you. We also have Resolute Germ here. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you as well, Resolute Germ. All right, gentlemen.
Yeah.
So here it is. Star Trek Picard Season 3, Episode 1, The Next Generation. Okay.
Sorry.
I'm going to go ahead and fire the first shot. And I've got to say, couldn't you have come up with a better story title than The Next Generation? We know this is the cast of The Next Generation. Why couldn't you call it something like The End of the Beginning? Or The Final Mission? You can't use These Are the Voyages.
No.
That's already been used.
Well, they tried using Enterprise for Strange New Worlds.
But I don't know. That to me is a poor story choice. But Crit, you were the one who provided us with the viewing of episode 1 of Star Trek Picard season 3, and what were your thoughts on it?
Moss.
Yes, what were your thoughts on it?
I didn't hate it. I didn't love it either. Some people are giving this a 9 out of 10. Burnett saying some high praise for this. He's seen the show, I think. This is much different than the last two Abominations, but not too different. But not. They have wisely decided to use three things. Actually, no. They decided to bring back certain elements that makes this kind of Trek in a way, in a not fully Trek as we know it, but there's nostalgia, there's good music, and there's good back and forth. Really, Picard is acting surprisingly like himself, besides some lines here and there. I know, I giggle, but Picard and Riker acts like they were in TNG. But my full unfiltered thoughts. This, there are problems that they're going in a right direction. However, there are still problems that you clearly know is Kirkman's Cliff Notes that drag this down, if not half the score. Unnecessary swearing, useless original characters, annoying changes to canon, unrealistically acting officers, jabs at TNG and growing old. Forgotten canon or forgetting how a character is supposed to react to something, misinterpreting a character. Oh, I could go on and on. Still, it isn't. It's not good, but it's not as unwatchable. I'll say this: if this came before season 1 and 2, 3, 1 and 2. I've said this after the review. I would think this is pretty good, but now that we've seen the first 2 seasons, we've seen their formula, and you could see that there is good writers. There is writers that are trying, but it's like they have a bubble around them, and that bubble is shit. Kirkman, Cliff Notes. And you have to do this and this, and you have to be as edgy as ever. I hate how characters have to be edgy just for the sake of being edgy. But I gave this a 6. Probably the first. Maybe a 7 if there wasn't 7.5 if there wasn't a certain character that was hogging up a screen time in this episode. But yeah, that's my score.
All right. And Baron.
Well, Resolute German actually kind of hit a little bit to
Yes.
what I was going to go into.
I forgot.
But, yeah, I can take care of that for you. I mean, we can go off each other with this one.
Can't forget the gloomy dark set.
Right, exactly. I mean, everything's so dark, which is the opposite of what Star Trek is supposed to be. Yes, I know in Star Trek 2, the Enterprise bridge was dark, but the Reliant bridge wasn't, and that was to have the contrast between the two ships with basically submarine warfare, which ended in the Mutar Nebula. That's what Nick Myers was trying to get through. But
Hmm.
the motion picture in Star Trek 4, the brief that we saw, in Star Trek 5, the bridge was really bright, and the corridors are bright. They're welcoming in that fashion. That look, we're the Federation now. Everything's dark, dark, dark. Um, the Neo Constitution, really, is that what you're going to name a class of ship? Neo Constitution. Now, I'm a starship freak when it comes to Star Trek. I mean, going back to the mid '80s, when I got my first set of blueprints for Star Trek, it was the Dreadnought plans from Franz Joseph, and I went nuts ever since then, within fandom and such. Just loving designs of ships and even the naming of ships. Okay, let's have the Neo Constitution class. It's stupid, and the design itself is absolutely atrocious, in my opinion. It's like, let's take the Enterprise and I'm talking about the original or motion picture, as more apt to say, and just kind of smashed up and make it all with angles instead of curves. Make it look harsh. Again, not what Starfleet is. I mean, even the harshest ship that they had in Star Trek, which was the Defiant, that had smooth lines to it. She
Hmm.
was a smooth and slick looking ship, and she was supposed to be the deadliest at that time. Even the Excelsior had smooth lines. The Ambassador, all the ships in Star Trek have this nice smooth line to them. Whether it's like circles and tubes or ovals, it doesn't matter. This They seem stuck on Next Generation too much, forgetting that there is a whole other history of Star Trek with the Enterprise E.
Hmm.
Obviously the three movies after Generations, and of course the uniform changes. I mean, they're so fixated on the Next Generation uniforms. I have a sneaky feeling that Picard was probably on the E longer than he was on board the D. If you want to go by lore, not the character lore, but canon.
Hmm.
So the member berries are far, far too much. I mean, there's something about having little things, come in there, like just something here and there that is a reminder. It's also a reminder of the character, which brings them back into focus of what they're supposed to be doing. But when you have constant member berries, it means nothing, not a damn thing. And of course, Eagle Moss got their advertising in there. With all what do they call it? The bubble ships that nobody wanted, or taking a
Fat
slam at
ones.
the fat ones. Yeah, making a shot at the Enterprise. Now, it wasn't my favorite design ship, but still, that's the Enterprise.
Well, let me ask you this. It's not only taking a shot at the Enterprise D, the Galaxy class, but you could say it's taking a shot at Andrew Probert, who designed the Enterprise D.
Right, right. And then when you have yourself that Titan, that abomination, look at it. It basically, let's take the Enterprise motion picture and put it in a one of those compactors and make it all edge. You know, and then they put an A after it. What did Obviously, the Titan was what Riker's ship was. What the hell did he do that was so special that he get the A after it? A ship that gets an A, the registry is basically that number is going to be associated with that ship no matter what. We're just going to add an A after because of something miraculous that it did. Obviously the original Enterprise, the entire history that it had, about 60 some years of history in Starfleet and doing what it did, deserved the A.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but really, this seems ridiculous that let's have the Titan and then we'll put the A after it. Well, what happened to Riker's ship? Why couldn't they have used that design? It's a wonderful design.
Mm-hmm.
If you play Star Trek Online, you can see it. And on this, not what is it, Devinard or whatever. I've been following the guy who created that design, and so it's a slap to him too. Uh, the character between Picard and Riker, yeah, the banter is somewhat believable for someone who'd been two people that have been through a lot of stuff. And now, they're basically in some ways retired. Picard is retired. It looks like Riker's still somewhat active in there because he's wearing a uniform. But the banter of two old colleagues who've gone through hell and back, and having the little banter back and forth, where this is beyond now. Captain and first officer. This is friends. Almost people who are on equal terms because they've been through the same stuff, and kind of like you have with the older Kirk, dealing with Spock and others. You can see this. It's something that's bonded into a strong friendship, more than just that camaraderie. It's that level of respect for each other. But why? Again, I have to go with Orca Boy here. Why do they have to have swearing in it? We're supposed to have a show that's for the family, and they want to go excessive violence. They want to go with excessive swearing. Star Trek is family.
The violence wasn't too, I would say, is PG-13, but
Right.
even because of the phasers but the cussing just comes unnecessary. I can imagine that Annika saying the same stuff during Voyager.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and her character seems kind of not right. I mean, from when she was with Voyager to this. I mean, obviously, yes, characters grow and all that, but it comes down to the one line, and of course, spoiler in here. When they see the absolute dick of a captain of the Titan, and he makes a snide shot
Admiral Kurtzman.
Yeah, Admiral Chrisman or Captain Kurtzman.
Or Captain Shaw, as he's introduced as.
Yeah, Shaw or Kurtzman. We like to call him Kurtzman because it just seems like that's what smarmy he is.
Captain Pompous, so you know what.
Right. Being disrespectful like he was to a fellow captain and a former captain of the ship, I think it sounds like they're kind of hinting that he was his first officer. And a retired admiral who's on an inspection tour, quote unquote, right? But he stood back and slams a insult of ex-Borg to Picard while he's sitting right next to 709.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of stupidity is that?
Well, not only that, when Picard and Riker arrive on the Titan, why wasn't he there?
Right. He wasn't there. And then when the ship leaves space dock, he's not there.
Mm-hmm.
I know they're trying to do a Captain Stylish, from Star Trek 3, but the thing is Captain Styles has much more class than this son of a bitch. Because Styles was right there. He was on the bridge. He was, when needed be, how can you have a yellow alert in space dock? Well, I'll be right there type of thing.
Yep.
This Captain Shaw is an inept buffoon, and what he did basically, I think Resolute Trim said he should be brought up on charges of conduct unbecoming an officer. An admiral is an admiral, no matter what.
Yep.
And if they're on
active duty, retired, you still have to show an amount of respect. But no, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to add to it. Captain Shaw was more concerned about eating his green meat.
Yeah.
Than
raw.
Yeah.
Than greeting dignitaries from Starfleet.
Right. And one that we have a suspect might have been his former commanding officer.
Mm-hmm.
Even more so. Yeah, I mean, utterly he should have been basically relieved of duty right then and there. He can try to do whatever he wants, but it's like Picard still has that power.
Yeah.
This is an inspection tour, and this is what you're doing. Sorry, you failed. Let's go to the bridge.
Captain Shaw,
now.
at this moment, you are relieved of duty.
Right. And Picard would have that power. He would have that power. But
what he should have just said is, "Okay, sir, okay." How easy it is, just one word. "Okay, sir, we will do what you ask."
Well,
or you could just cut away from it. Or
right. Oh, yeah, and of course the impossible times distance that they travel within one day. I mean, they go from Earth to the edge of the Federation in one day.
where we know it would take months.
Yeah. Yeah. Even at this fastest speed, it would take months. 9.99 would take still a heck of a lot of time to get over there.
Well, I think that's a little unfair because this is some years after TNG, and they've already like surpassed warp cape. They've even had episodes where they experimented bypassing the warp 9.
Yeah,
I think that's a little unfair of a judgment because we were just assuming that they're still following TNG or DS9 era like warp speeds, but maybe they've gone past that the last 20 years.
Yeah, well, maybe they have, but it's still ridiculous.
To go on your point, Crit, we all know in All Good Things that alternate future created by Q. Let's not forget it was created by Q.
Mm-hmm.
That they were capable of going up to warp 13.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always had this idea that after Voyager came back, Starfleet would have studied all the information that Voyager brought back from the Delta Quadrant. And one of those things they would have studied is the quantum slipstream drive.
Right.
So
we're being rated.
Awesome.
We're being rated.
Welcome, everybody. I want to say hello to Apollomedes Million. I want to say hello to Real Wade Gaming Clips. And I also want to say hello to Arwen Avalon. Now, before you all leave, after we're done talking about Picard, if you all want to come on and talk about it with us, I will post the invite link into the chat. So don't go anywhere.
Oh, Daryl Derelict is in there. And we have to... Oh, we're fighting to put stuff up here. And we have to give lots of thanks to good old Fat Steven. Thank you, Fat Steven. I don't know if he's sitting in the just sitting there not saying anything yet, but thank you so much for sending your friends over. Yeah. And our friends. They're our friends too.
This is great. And again, I will open up the panel. So if anybody does want to hop on, just hang on tight.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and of course, I do want to say hello to Tripping Orc. I don't want to forget anybody.
Oh yeah, he's not getting there. The thing is even though it's a plot device that, okay, let's get from point A to point B in one night, or not even one night really, and that's like, come on, you're getting influenced in with the Star Wars stuff again. Well, of course, what do they do? Kurtzman, Jar Jar, or whatever. Well, of course we did, and now again, heavy spoiler.
Don't worry, I'm putting it back up. Back up.
I did three. I thought I'd say it 3 times because either that will bring Phil McCracken or people will understand that I'm going to. We are introduced to Beverly Crusher's son in this. Picard has not seen Beverly Crusher, or basically the rest of the crew have not seen her for 20 years. She just dropped off the face of the universe, and no one's.
She cut everybody off.
Right, but somehow she's on some sort of Federation ship that she has. I don't know if it appears it's not active Federation, but it's a Federation ship. And she has her son on there, and which has heavily shades of Dr. Carol Marcus, David Marcus, and Admiral Kirk. Again, let us just start grabbing these member berries from what we've had before. It's like, can't you come up with something much more original than that, honestly?
We'll have to see but I think you're right. I just have this feeling.
Oh, yeah, he's going to be Kirk. Yeah, I mean...
he's going to be Picard's son.
Yeah. They're not
notice how they casted a younger actor who sort of looks like Patrick Stewart when he was younger.
Yeah.
Not exactly.
Right. You don't want that, but... Yeah, exactly. So we are looking at the fact that all they can do is grab stuff, and people sit back and say, yeah, it feels like Star Trek at some elements. Mm-hmm. That's basically the areas where they were kind of stealing from.
Well, that's not the only callback. LaForge apparently has a daughter, and she's the navigator for the ship.
Generations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Like, well, maybe that's a callback to Generations, but
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, with Demora Sulu being introduced to Captain
Right.
Kirk.
Right. That is basically it. It's a throwback to Generations. Again, it's like
that's one I'm not against, though. That's one
well,
I like.
well. The thing is,
Well,
what's important is it would be nice if it wasn't for the fact of all the other friggin' member berries.
Yes, yeah. Every scene there's a member berry. I'm not every scene there's a member berry.
Right.
whether they mention something, whether it's a prop in the background. Heck, you see the Ruskin flute in the episode from Inner Light.
Don't everything except when Rafi's on screen because she just
Yeah.
she's
That part of the story did nothing for the episode. Absolutely nothing.
She makes you remember. She makes you remember that this is a Kirksman.
Yeah, that's the member right there. Yeah, I mean, it's like it's a different show. It's like, what's going on here now? This doesn't even fit in there. You could have blended these together. And we were talking backstage, Mike, Crit, and myself, about what has not. Well, Mike brought up the $1 million idea. Why couldn't that be Rolla Aaron?
We don't know what happened to Rolla Aaron after the last time
Right.
we saw her in TNG.
Right, and I brought in what's the one show they're not representing in this? They're representing obviously Next Generation. They're obviously representing Voyager. They can't do Enterprise because that took place how many hundreds of years before that.
Mhm.
And they're even throwing things with the original series with the abomination of the Titan A. Don't kid yourself. Neo Constitution A after it. That is heavily, hey, look, we're representing the original series. But you don't have DS9. Why couldn't they have maybe had Kira come in? Why couldn't they have had like Ezri come in and be that character?
I'm still thinking, though, Baron, that the villains might be the Dominion or maybe a sect. Maybe something. But then again, like the whole question, who is the villain? There's a terrorist attack. There's some monsters. But then you saw the teaser and you saw Moriarty. And like, is Moriarty doing all this? Like, what?
Right.
Who is the villain?
I just want to touch up on this. Yes, we know that she joined the Marquee in TNG, but we don't know what happened after her last appearance, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't know if she was one of the members of the Marquee that ended up getting killed by the Dominion, or if she managed to survive it, because let's face it, Rolla Aaron is a survivor.
Right. A lot of them.
The only way you would know is to read the non-canon. Well, I'm gonna the pocket verse books, but even I consider those more canon than this. But this is trying. It's trying.
Yeah.
Trying.
In some cases, it's trying too hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I'm not as generous in my scoring for this because I say 5, and in some ways I'm being somewhat generous with that. But everything with the Rafi helped tear it down to that 5 level. And then, of course, the member berries, the dark, gloomy sets, when there should be, when you're in the bridge of the Enterprise, it should be lively and vibrant. But again, that's the Kurtzman thing. Let's be dark. Nick Myers was dark. Let's be dark like Nick Myers. It's like you don't understand. You don't comprehend. You're a friggin' moron. Some of the banter between Kirk and Picard, you can see on that one. Even with 7 of 9, or of course she's using her real name on the ship because that captain forced her to. Oh my God! So he dead named her. And notice that if they're going to I was dead named. It's like get off your fucking high horse. And I know I complain about cussing on Star Trek. It shouldn't be there, but of course we have a disclaimer on our show.
And I said to you guys when we were watching this, the only time Jeri Ryan actually sounded like 7 of 9 is when she was greeting Riker and Picard.
Right.
That's the only time she actually sounded like the real 7 of 9.
Mm-hmm. Right. But the thing is,
I'm fine. Oh, I'm fine with her characterization. Her being, her moving on from the whole 7 of 9 thing.
Mhm.
But I think they need to not have her cuss every other line because she seems to love the cuss. Like, can you imagine on Voyager? F you, Janeway. F you, this. F this. F F. Yeah.
Well, what
Mr.
about Rafi?
Tuvok, take 7 to the brig.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
and then
about that
she's
Rafi
sick.
character? All that she was doing was cussing through the whole bloody thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
we need to
And-
talk
and
about.
let's talk about Rafi real quick and the obvious. Who she was talking to, even though you didn't see him on screen. Just by reading the text, you know who she's talking to.
Prune juice is a warrior's drink.
And if anybody needs a hint, I'm just going to play this clip real quick to give everybody a hint.
He said, "Today is a good day to die."
Yes, we all know Rafi was talking to Worf.
Mm-hmm.
I find it funny that Worf ends up being a Starfleet intelligence officer of all things.
Yeah. But let's go back to the set thing. Look at DS9. Obviously, they had a darker tone, texture, and everything because you're on an alien space station of the Cardassians, but it's still brighter than this.
Yeah, it's still well lit. You can actually see the actors.
Yeah, and the ships.
Mm-hmm.
You don't feel like you have to turn a flashlight on when you're watching the show. Can I see anything more?
But it's like when they're on that planet, I don't even remember the name of the planet that Rafi was on. And there's there's the one thing.
It was LA 2019.
But anyways, Rafi goes over to this bar and starts talking to this Orion dude who has a pad with information, and all they had to do instead of having useless dialogue, in my opinion, it was all useless dialogue, is have this Orion guy hand her the pad. She takes the pad, goes into an alley, looks at the information on the pad, and then you see the look on her face that tells the audience, "Oh shit, something big is going on."
Yeah. As you see, and I'm doing a fan edit, so I was showing, but the yes, it's like so simple. Have him be an informant, but instead we get this long, dragged out, her acting like a junkie and begging to get to more dope, and it's kind of. And then she mentions she has a girlfriend out of nowhere, and like,
Okay, let's take off some Kurtzman boxes here.
Just get to the brass taxes here. Get to the point.
Right.
What information did you find, and where is this equipment, this quantum drill or whatever it was?
Mm-hmm. And I just want to say something. You see that? What does that font look like? Where have you seen something like that before? How do you feel? How do you feel? How do you feel?
Voyage home. I was thinking that myself, Baron.
Mm-hmm.
Let us not forget, as it says here on Memory Alpha, that Rafi has a relationship with 7 of 9 again.
Yeah. So I suppose when they get back, we're going to have some scissoring going, I suppose.
That's why she said that.
It is modern entertainment. Oh,
right. Well, yeah. What happened to Chakotay? She and Chakotay were supposed to be a thing. What happened to Chakotay?
What happened to that relationship?
Well, she found women were easier, had better acting skills. Oh, sorry, I should.
No, Robert.
He's a good
Robert
actor.
Beltran got shafted. Come on.
He got shafted big time. He's a good actor.
His character got bad writing, so he's.
After a while, he didn't care. After a while, when he was on that show, it's like, okay, fine. I'll just be here and fire off the whatever boring lines and I'm supposed to do and look pretty. When obviously he was promised something bigger and more powerful.
Yeah, more prominent.
Yeah, and basically kicked him in the balls on that. So, but still, what's with Chakotay? She was with Chakotay. I mean, there's a lot of things. Let's ignore lore. Let's go away. Let's destroy legacy. And
Let's use the
with
James Horner and Jerry Goldsmith themes that everybody's familiar with. Leaving Space Talk is one of them.
I'll say this. Even though it's member berries, the music for this episode was pretty damn good.
Oh yeah, it was.
It helped make it feel like a Star Trek episode, but there were still things that let the audience member know you're definitely watching Kurtzman Trek.
Oh, exactly. I mean, for some reason, Kurtzman / Abrams have this obsession about Star Trek 2, which, of course, where we got the James Horner music when they were leaving the space dock.
Because it's the Empire Strikes Back of Star Trek.
Well, yeah, it is. But, I mean, they're just obsessed about it. I mean, even with the films they did, they had to keep on referencing to Star Trek 2, at least in the first 2 films. They had big time the second one, of the Abrams abomination. Of course, this... And the thing is Star Trek... I can understand the motion picture theme because that was lifted and used for Next Generation. It's synonymous for both. So them using the Goldsmith music and all that doesn't bother me at all. And it's like, okay, that's nice. But when you use Horner, Horner has nothing to do with Next Generation. Nothing about Horner's work has anything to do with Next Generation.
Get a piece of David McCarthy's music, Jay Cataway's music, and David Bell, and I'm blanking on another one, but get a piece of their music, or if they're still physically able to do it, ask them to come back. Mm-hmm. Ron Jones was the other one I was thinking of.
Ron Jones, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ron Jones, I like Ron Jones better than Dennis McCarthy. He should have did the whole. He should not have been treated the way he did.
McCarthy actually did a pretty good job, though, I think, in Generations. I think he did a good musical score for Generations.
Yes, Generations. I like the score for Generations more than his, it's forgettable. It's just background music, background sound.
Right, and that might not have been his fault. It might have been Roddenberry and all that, how they wanted to have the music presented in the show, which, other people get their hands tied,
I can't quote it exactly, but on one of the Blu-ray extras for Next Generation, they talk about why they got rid of Ron Jones, because they didn't like the sound of his music. And they were saying we wanted a certain theme for the music, and Ron Jones didn't fit with that style that we wanted. Mm-hmm. Which I think is a damn shame.
Right.
I would say no. You need to have individual. Well, we should talk about that in their time, but
we
could probably talk about that
we can tear stuff apart left and right.
But I'm kind of just but the story, they need to be more clear. What's the story? Because there's 2 villains. Is there a terrorist or is there a Dominion? They mentioned, I thought Moriarty was going to be the new Q of this, but it looks like, I don't know. Is he behind the terrorist attacks? It's kind of just silly.
Mentioning Moriarty, could he be, at, let's say, Geordi's the head of Starfleet Engineering, the Corps of Engineers, and that's where we're going to end up seeing Lore and Geordi. Could he be there in the holodeck? Mm-hmm. And could they be using him for some sort of purpose? I don't know.
I mean, it seems so convoluted from the trailers and then what we saw on this. Now, I do want to have full disclosure. I've only seen 2 episodes of Picard. I saw the first episode from season 1, the first one, which I thought was an interesting build-up. I thought that episode was an interesting build-up, despite some of the stuff I had to gripe about in that one. But I thought, okay, this could be respectful, but we know where it went. I'm fearing that this is going to be the same way with this show, this season. Now, I know Burnett, Burnett saw the whole thing. So to give him some leeway here, him seeing the whole concluded season is the fact that, we're not seeing bits and pieces what comes to the conclusion. So for us, we don't see it yet. Burnett has, because he saw the whole thing. So he was rating the whole season as great. So I do want to have that clarification that, he wasn't just talking about one episode. He talked about the whole season. So, yeah, there might be stuff that we don't know about. And I've also heard people say the first 3 episodes are really slow, unnecessary build-up. It's episode 4 when things take off, which, again, is a problem. Yeah, which is a problem. You can probably do that wasting in the first episode, and it still go fast because you have it paced different.
Well, that was the whole problem, in my opinion, with the first season. It took 3 episodes before we met the rest of the cast members. And even then, it was still a clusterfuck.
Yeah. Yeah, absolute clusterfuck. And season 2, we're not even going to go there. But, I mean, again, member berries. I mean, let's go back to the punk on Star Trek 4, I mean, really, honestly, that's the best you can do. There's a difference between having a reference, or yes, something to remind something of the past in the show, but you can't rely on that as the basis of your show or your season. And so far, this episode, all it seems to be is remember.
How does this member berry help move the story along? A lot of the member berries, in my opinion, in this episode, didn't help move the story along. No, they just bogged it down.
When you know more about the showrunner, Terry Mattelis, he's a big TNG fan. He was in, he wrote a TNG comic for IDW. He worked on Enterprise, and he was
a couple episodes of Enterprise.
He was even in the horrible last episode of Enterprise with that was during the Pegasus.
Taking place during the Pegasus event. Yes.
So he's passionate, but I think the right way is to bring all this like fan service to him. But again, I don't think it's entirely his fault. He's trying. He's doing his best. But he has to follow. I'm going to keep bringing up Cliff Notes because you can just smell the Kirkson. It's like a pig. It's like a foul scent. It's like if you accidentally drop your banana on the floor and the floor wasn't clean, but the banana's still good. It just has some taste to it. It's just dirty.
Okay.
I don't know that.
Orca Boy, I'm gonna see your bet and raise it. How much was his script we saw on the screen, and how much was the script editors and even Chrisman himself behind the scenes doing rewrites, as we know happens? I mean, the most famous fight of all in Star Trek is the Ellison Roddenberry fight. Because what you see is not what I wrote, and we know that all you have to do is take a look at episodes of Next Generation. Look at all the names. Story by, and then be like 2 people. Then script by, and you have like 4 people.
Mm-hmm.
So, my question on that one is, how much of what he wrote it would be really great, and then Kurtzman and gang decided to throw in their the rewrites and changes as they went along so they could add this other crap in there. I'm sure he did make made references to the original Next Generation because, obviously that's what you were trying to do. But how much of the other stuff was polluted by Chrisman and script editors? That's my question.
And, it's not like it hasn't happened before. You mentioned Harlan Ellison. Well, what about when Michael Pillar came on board? Next Generation, he and Roddenberry would go back and forth as to what's going to happen in the episode, and what Gene Roddenberry said, no, you can't do that.
Right. Or the big fight of an episode that was never made, except it was made for Star Trek Continuous fan film, with David Gerald with Blood and Fire, where he was promised by Roddenberry they'd do this episode, and Roddenberry told him to F off, and that was the end of that relationship.
And if you go by this article, the showrunner knows his history of Trek. He's a Trek connoisseur like us.
Right.
But what we saw on screen would not be written by. But no, some of it. Like I think everything with Picard and Riker,
Yeah.
it's reasonable enough, and
Well, yeah.
but I'm sure it's stipulated you have to have Rafi. I mean, they list Jonathan Frakes as a special guest star when he's clearly the second lead in the whole season.
Well, yeah. Well, they're listing all these people as special guest stars on there. So, I mean, and that's the problem. You know, I have a feeling that the stuff that we saw there that we really appreciated was basically his unadulterated. But the stuff where we made the cringe, like the snide remarks about the Enterprise D and some of the other snide remarks, I have a sneaky feeling those were rewrites that they put in there, throwaways that they go in there. And that's what I'm suspecting, because I can't see a Star Trek fan doing anything to disparage the Galaxy class or the Enterprise D in their way.
No, yes, it's a big ship.
Yeah.
However, it's a beautiful big ship. Yeah. Some might call it a, cruise liner, because it is, with the families on board.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still a beautiful ship. And Daryl's asking, have we seen Loki's love letter to Trek video? I did on Friday. That was absolutely beautiful.
I have to see it. Sorry, I haven't. So that's
right.
On my homework.
No. I'll go ahead and get the link.
Okay, yeah, that'll be my homework. I got to see that. Well, I'm sub to Loki anyway, so I can just sneak in there. But yeah, put it in there for other people to see. Got it in the.
We forgot to mention another big issue.
I can mention one issue of mine. Beverly caulking the phaser rifle.
Yes, that's what I was
There we
going
go. There we go. Yeah.
Yes,
like
that
it's a
was
shotgun.
it.
Like it's a pump shotgun. I think they're trying to do they're trying to do like Linda Hamilton in Terminator 2. The one he had cocking of the shotgun. It's like, now we get the Terminator vibes in here now. It's like we have our strong whammon with her pump phaser. And let's forget any connotation about Beverly having to pump something to work. I mean, honestly, absolutely friggin' ridiculous.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I have posted the link to Loki's love letter to Star Trek, both in the private chat and in the public chat. Mm-hmm. Check it out. It's worth it. And make sure you leave a comment, leave a thumbs up, because that is done by a man who loves Star Trek like we do.
Right. Very passionate, too.
I'm even going to say it. I was watching it, and it brought tears to my eyes because of how much I still love Star Trek, and I hate what's happened to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's... I mean, this Captain Shaw character, they could have made him a smarmy a-hole, but they did it wrong. They should have, if that's the case, if you wanted to have Styles, study Styles.
Yeah. That's the perfect kind of Captain of Styles. Heck, Jellicoe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, those two guys, I mean, but what they did with that character is so horrible. I don't have any problems with a smarmy asshole captain like that, but my God, how did that guy even get the rank of captain to be on board a ship? And obviously, like I said, it has an A after. It's obviously prestigious.
Yeah, obviously, the Titan before her had to be involved in something spectacular or miraculous, like you said earlier, Baron.
Yeah. So something that was pivotal.
Yeah. Every ship with the name of Enterprise has done something to continue that legacy, whether it be the original Enterprise, whether it be the Enterprise A, the Enterprise B. I mean, you have the Enterprise C. Hell, the Enterprise C is the whole reason why the Federation and the Klingons are at peace.
Yep.
When we see them in Next Generation.
Mm-hmm. And then the E. Look what the E did. I mean, just alone with the battle of the Borg and going back in time.
Put it on Cavitino.
Got it.
Okay. You're faster than me. Well, yeah, that's just it. All these sets are all redressed. I mean, they're redresses from the Discovery. I mean,
like, does that excuse them for making the set dark? They could add different lighting to the set.
just no lens flares, please.
Just no lens flares, yeah. I don't think it doesn't matter. Like the lighting can be changed with,
Right.
but
Well, I mean, you talk about redressing sets. They did that throughout the course of the TNG era shows.
Well, in the movies also.
Yeah, I'm just mentioning the TNG era shows because that's where you saw it the most. You saw it when they would redress the battle bridge to be the bridge of the Enterprise C.
No, that wasn't. No. That well, yeah, the second one, but the first Enterprise battle bridge that was seen in the first season was also redressed as a Stargazer, and that was basically the back section of the Star Trek IV redress of the Enterprise A.
Yeah,
the first captain of the Excelsior was also a major. He was, but he still followed protocol.
Yeah, he followed. Yeah, and he was a jerk. That's what we're saying. No problems having a jerk, but if you're going to have a jerk, have it like Styles. Because at least you can laugh at the guy when something happens. You know, with the Shaw guy, it's like, just get the frig out of here. There's no entertainment value behind it.
I mean, heck, here's another captain I want to bring up real quick from the episode Jem'Hadar, the season 2 finale of DS9.
Oh, yeah.
Where we meet Captain Keo, and we learn about the history between Captain Keo and Dax, and we find out from Dax that they didn't really see eye to eye.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nothing wrong with that at all. At all. It's just, how is the character written and portrayed?
Yeah.
And
it's like, you know, when Picard and Riker finally get onto Beverly's ship, how could they not recognize what it looks like when someone's been vaporized with a phaser rifle set to full?
You mean the phaser shotgun, pump shotgun?
Yeah. I mean, there's an episode in season 6 where they go on board that station and they find that one science officer and they find remains of someone who was vaporized by a phaser at close range on full.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there'd be at least, you know, obviously there were remains that were left behind, you know, the ashes, dust to dust. I mean, and yeah, I mean, Fantastic Fun Federation Ferengi, Fantastic February. Wow, what a name. Yeah, I mean, we liked the episode, but like is a bit strong, at least for me. We can't go out and walk on top of the hilltop and start screaming at the top of our lungs saying, you gotta freaking watch this.
Oh, yeah, I'm not doing that.
No, I'm not.
I'm not doing that currently with The Last of Us. It's not a series that I'm going to say to, you know, Arwen or Tommy and the Guinea Pig Collective or Fantastic Fun Federation Ferengi or anyone else who's here today. Oh, you got to watch this. Here, let me go on this mountaintop and I'm going to preach to the high heavens. Go watch Star Trek Picard or go watch The Last of Us. I'm not going to do it.
No.
I'm not going to do it because I see flaws.
9 out of 10. It's back, baby. Star Trek is back.
I'm going to be respectful. As I don't understand how, and well, I think Coach put 9 out of 10, and you know I have to sit back and respectfully add. This respectfully. This is not a slam. I'm not slamming anybody who gives it a high rating. What was so good about it that you have such a high rating for this?
Maybe they're seeing something that we're not. Maybe it's seeing Riker and Picard side by side instead of, you know, for a short little bit in one episode. I think it was episode 7 of season 1 of
the
Picard.
The music,
and
the seeing old characters, the member bears. The same thing with The Force Awakens, but unlike this, The Force Awakens is still somewhat of a good movie. I can't say it's a bad. This is still not good, but it's not bad either. It's
Right.
It,
Well, it's
it was
watchable.
it was watchable.
Yeah.
Like you just said, I was about to say, Baron, and Baron, you and I both gave the same rating after we were done watching it, and here it is Sunday, and we watched it Thursday night. Thanks to Crit. Thank you again, by the way.
Yeah, thank you, Crit. Yeah, honestly.
And it's still a 5 out of 10 for me. If it was my, best out of 5 scale, I would say it's a 1.5 out of 5. And I know some of you who have watched some of my movie reviews and some of my episode reviews, you can say rightfully so. I'm very harsh when it comes to different shows and movies, but I expect to be entertained. I expect
Mhm.
good storytelling. I expect good writing, good characters.
Mhm.
And to me, it doesn't matter if I'm talking about a movie, an episode, or if I'm talking about a Cubs game. I'm still going to point out things I don't like.
Right. And we love it, but we also like to critique it and point out what is wrong. I mean, obviously, with my name, Baron Tag and all that, obviously there's a lot of hints that I'm a big Star Wars fan, which I am. But really, for the longest time, I was a bigger Star Trek fan. Being involved in fan organizations, international ones, by the way, even being part of the international staff at one time before I basically got burned out and dropped out. I mean, really love Star Trek. I was there watching Next Generation every week and recording as much as I could. I got my tapes still somewhere in the house here of all the episodes I taped off air. And even DS9, Voyager, not so much. But the thing is, I can sit back and still say that was still Star Trek, even though I didn't really like the show. We love Star Trek. We know the lore. We know, of course, it changes a little bit by a whim. Obviously, there's some stuff that they go on that it's like, how do you go this way when something like that was happening before that? Do you just ignore that? But we still love it. It's a passion. This is our saga. This is our mythology. Despite their attempts to try to destroy the legacy of James T. Kirk, James T. Kirk is the king, baby. He is. He is the, what they want to call it cowboy diplomacy, but that's rather unfair because how you could see James T. Kirk wisely using his two best advisors, heart and soul, and logic, and make a decision off of those characters. Just Picard is a good captain. Look at Benjamin Sisko, what he had to go through. What a great captain he was. Like started with commander, obviously. Janeway, she was okay, and even with Enterprise with Archer.
Archer, yeah.
Right, you see these legacies, you see these people as heroes. These are giants. Season 1 and 2 is let's destroy the giants. Now it's like, can we try to build it up? But we don't want to build it too much because we don't like heroes. At least not those heroes.
They like their own heroes.
Right. Which suck, most of them.
Yeah.
And so if you don't have reference, and I'm sure, like I said, I'm being incredibly kind and I'm giving a lot of leeway. I'm sure the writer has, I know the writer has immense love for Star Trek. I have a feeling that he put out a great script and it got, tore apart. And that's why we have all this other BS that's in there. And that's a shame.
That goes to show there will never be a true Trek because the studio or Kurtzman will be.
Right.
I won't even say the Paramount. I would say it's Kurtzman. So
yeah, you have to beam him on board as garbage skull and send them away. Then you get Star Trek again.
Well, I mean, think about it. If you're Terry Mattelis, you're walking into the shithole that Alex Kurtzman and let's not forget Les Moonves. Let's not forget him at all.
No,
they created this mess.
Yeah. Thank you for reminding me about him. Yep.
And I like what Magitech Mags is saying here. And hello to you, Mags, by the way. She says, Kirk had cowboy diplomacy because they were exploring much of the unknown galaxy at that point. It
Hmm.
was early Trek timeline, like the Wild West or Pioneers. Exactly. That's what they based it on. A wagon train to the stars.
Right. And in some ways, that's what our space program was because it's going to new frontiers that we haven't been to. I mean, seeing men to the moon or just to space, and our probes going out to who knows where. I mean, that there's so much connotation between all that with our desire to go over that next hill to see what is out there. That's what Star Trek's about. It's like, okay, what's over there? What can we see? Who can we meet? What adventures are out there? Second star to the right. All that stuff. It's all about going someplace. Even DS9 was going places. You had that
Mhm.
wormhole. They went places, baby.
Oh yeah, they went places. And
Yeah.
how many times in Star Trek, whether it was the movies, whether it was any of the series, where they would say, "We've moved beyond our petty differences,
Hmm.
and we're better for it."
Right.
Yet when you're watching Kurtzman Trek, whoa, everybody's regressed. Not
Right.
just the human race, but everybody in the Star Trek universe, as far as Kurtzman is concerned, has regressed.
Right. If they wanted a grittier Star Trek, they should have gotten JMS, J. Michael Straczynski, because he loves Star Trek and he would have done it right.
Yeah, he wanted to do a Star Trek series, as
yeah.
did Seth MacFarlane at one
Mm.
point.
Right.
He,
And Straczynski even wrote one of his comic books for Star Trek Next Generation, I believe.
Mhm.
The Next Generation or the regular Star Trek, I can't remember. One of the Star Trek comics he wrote for.
people,
And Daryl's saying, as a normie fan of Star Trek, I despise what has been done to the franchise. The only good things that came from '09 track was Leonard Nimoy, Carl Urban, and Anton Yelchin. Exactly, Daryl. I agree
Right.
with you, brother.
I'll say this: after these last few TV shows of Star Trek, I'll consider the JJ films masterpieces.
Well, you're not setting a high bar.
Five bar. What is Star Wars?
I was going to say, I want to say hello to Action Man Gaming. What is Star Wars? Well, it depends on how you look at it. Either Lucas era Star Wars or Disney Star Wars.
Yeah. And it's just the same thing here. Is it's going to be, the legacy Star Trek, or based off of Roddenberry, or the Abrams Kurtzman Abomination Star Trek?
Because, let's face it, even under Rick Berman, it was still Star Trek. They tried to
Right.
keep as close to Gene's vision as they could. Yes, Deep Space Nine introduced the Dominion War, but it helped the series, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some might say they were competing against Babylon 5. Yes,
Right.
they were.
Mm-hmm. But they had
But-
two different philosophies between the two shows. Two different directions, two different ideas. So it's like you can't. It would be unfair to call it a complete total clone because, even one of the Next Generation DS9 episodes even took a shot at Babylon 5. Understandably because J. Michael Straczynski is going out there. Truth is a three-edged swords. There's no really good evil type of thing. And
Mhm.
Next Generations had that where I believe it was Cisco sitting back saying there is evil out there.
Yeah.
There is bad out there, which was, I'm sure, a shot at and showing that there was a difference between the two shows, which is great because I don't want stamped copies of stuff. That's why I love Babylon 5 so much. It was its own universe, just as much as like DS9. But, as that goes, hey, I don't know what they're doing now. This isn't Star Trek.
No. And I like this question from Shay. Still curious how limited Terry Mattelis was budget wise.
Mhm.
Keeping an open mind, but it is stomach churning hearing mixed emotions.
Yeah.
And do we have any other thoughts? Because I'm thinking of,
Um,
this might be a good time to
Yeah,
let other folks chime in.
sure. Release the hounds.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. You've heard our ratings for this episode. Now, I would like to hear your opinion on this episode and some of the topics we're going to talk about today. I will go ahead and pin the invite link to the top of the chat. Don't be shy. We don't bite.
We don't bite.
I do.
But
Well,
Picard season 3
I can't speak for Baron, folks.
gives me a fright. Gives me can't
But-
speak.
This episode was definitely a 5 out of 10. It was watchable, but also meh
Yeah, I
at the
agree.
same time. I mean, yeah, okay, we get that shot of new space dock. Great. Something that looks somewhat familiar. But again, it goes on the lines of member bearers. And I see what you're doing there, Crit. Even though Cash isn't here, he had a previous obligation. That's why he's not here. You're given the Cash Money 007 representation.
Cash Money can put his change in my piggy bank any day.
But you know, as far as watching episode 2, are we going to watch episode 2 Thursday?
I mean, if Crit puts it on there, I might watch it. Yeah, but I mean, it's not something I'd go out of my way for. To be honest, with you.
No.
I have some curiosity.
I will stick with the whole series because of Burnett. But if it gets better, as he says, after the slow burn, then if it at least gets up to a 7, I'll be surprised. Right now it's at 6, leaning towards a 5. But if it is still as not as watchable as it is, then maybe there's hope. But I don't I'm not a betting man, so unless I'm playing poker night. So
Well, all I can say is the only reason why I really watch it, besides the fact being free, no, I didn't have to pay a cent to watch it, was Robert, Meyer Burnett, and saying about it. So it had my curiosity. I'm glad I didn't pay for having to see it, though. It makes me feel better.
Hello.
Hello, children. How are you doing?
puzzle we got her for Christmas.
He looks as confused as I am.
I'm always confused when I come on to StreamYards because they're always changing something around.
I know they are the buggers.
So, children, what did you think of this episode of Picard?
La la
I
la.
don't know. Oh, there he is.
Yep, there you are.
Well, I'm
There we
thinking
go.
she's still at church.
Hello.
Hello,
I'm okay. How are you guys today?
doing good.
Surviving.
Yeah, I know about that surviving.
I'm always confused when I come on to StreamYards because they're always changing something around.
I know they are. That's. Oh, what
Yeah,
a play.
I hear us.
I only use them for these types of situations. Other than that, I use Streamlabs.
Mm.
Ooh, 14, 15.
I'm a little bit of a sucker for nostalgia, so I actually enjoyed it a lot. Except, I mean, it did have flaws.
Mhm.
But
Surviving.
overall, I probably would give it like a 7 or 8 out of 10.
Okay, and you know that's fair for you. You
Oh, yeah.
enjoyed it, so we're all looking at this from different perspectives. Fred has a 6 rating. Baron and I have a 5 rating.
So I don't know
Right,
if
yeah.
she talked to her.
And I'm not knocking anybody who gives it a high rating. I'm just curious to hear why they did have that rating, and again, it's because of different approaches and different eras of
No,
watching the show.
So, what was it about the episode that you consider it a 7 out of 10?
Well, hold on a second. Computer's being weird. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Obviously, like I said, I'm a sucker for nostalgia. The interplay between Picard and Riker was, I mean, that took me straight back to the 80s when I was a kid. So that was highly enjoyable. I'm also a big 7 of 9 fan. Voyager itself is okay, but I've always enjoyed 7 of 9 and her perspective on things. Believe it or not, I actually liked the Rafi stuff. I like watching tortured characters try and make their way through life. So the back and forth between the Rafi storyline and the main storyline didn't really bother me so much, because I'm assuming, especially considering that Doctor Strange ripoff there with the big building there in wherever the hell that was, London, I think. I'm assuming that's going to tie into whoever's after Picard in some way. So that those two are probably going to merge, I would guess, around episode 3 or 4, and then it'll move on from there. So it didn't bother me as much.
Okay. And that's fair enough. Again, like I said, we all have different things we're going to take from this episode.
Yes,
and I'm not here to
thing was lame, bro.
Yeah, it was. And I'm not here to disrespect anybody's opinion. When I have open panels, everybody's allowed to say exactly how they're looking at it and give their perspective.
Exactly. I mean, except me, I abuse everybody.
You're a co-host. I always abuse you.
But yeah, I mean, I mean, the tortured thing, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, obviously, you had the tortured with McCoy in Star Trek 3 having the Katra in him and basically having two minds in one and not be able. So, the fact that he did have tortured people in Star Trek is no problem in seeing how they overcome. Sometimes they overcame, sometimes they didn't. Other times they needed to have a complete total reprogramming of the brain to be able to be that way, like Garth. Party on. But I don't know. They just, I guess I just didn't like the character. I mean, if you're gonna go that route, at least bring somebody we already knew, like Ro or Ezri Dax or even Kira.
For me, the character was fine. It was just she overstayed. The scene itself was just boring as shit. And then, of course, they make reference. I like how I wish Cash was here, but he made he's like, of course, when she said girlfriend, because it's a checkbox.
Yeah,
but the scene just went on too long. Why not have the Orion be an informant and then get to the point? Like why play a role of a junkie? Why we have junkies in Star Trek to begin with? Is this it's like that TNG episode with the planet where they need the medicine in season 1.
Well, yeah.
And don't forget that video game with the little discs in the
the game, yeah.
Yep. So I mean, there's still addiction in that era, but it's how is it approached and such. And again, if you're not in the Federation itself, there's different rules. I mean, if you're in neutral space where anything can happen or lawless, I mean, not everything's the Federation. I think some people forget that the galaxy is not Federation. You have the Romulans or leftovers of Romulans. I don't know how they're approaching that. They're going Star Trek Online way or what? But you still have the Klingon Empire. You still have the Dominion out there. You still have the Cardassians out there. Each one play by their own rules. And it's like the ugly Americans that go to another country thinking that their rights as an American citizen goes wherever they go. And it's like, no, when you're in Rome, you got to be like the Romans. Or you're going to be in trouble. And I think in some ways they kind of have that problem with Star Trek. Everything's the Federation. No, it's not.
They have their own version of the Outer Rim.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to act like there's never been addiction as far as drug addiction in Star Trek. We all know that, the Jem'Hadar are addicted to Ketch So White. Why?
Yeah.
That's how the founders keep them under control.
Right. They even had that illusion of that in the the first episode, Next Generation, where they
Yeah,
kept
Encounter
drugs.
at Farpoint.
Yeah, they kept the soldiers under control with their little drug thing that they put in their nose and take a sniff now. So, of course, it's not necessarily praising the drug use, though.
No, but
Oh no.
Q was giving the alternate future history of how we went from where we were in the 80s to where we were in the 21st century to where we were by the time we met Picard and crew in Encounter at Farpoint on Next
Yeah.
Generation.
Mm-hmm. I mean, sorry.
No, go ahead, Baron. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I mean, I love the optimism that humanity has risen above a lot of stuff, but there still is human nature. You're still going to find human nature, the bad side of human nature, and we even had that in the original series. You had that in Next Generation, where you just had bad apples that were human. That's why you had adversaries. You don't want to call them villains, but adversaries. Oh, some of them were downright villains. But as it goes, is as much as it's trying to be a utopian society, and yes, Black Dragon said it right there. Sometimes they broke their own rules.
Yeah, they did.
Yep. I mean, let's go out there. They break their own rules, and the Prime Directive in and by itself is such a horrible, horrible law. How many times did that get broken? Because, well, we either break we either keep the Prime Directive and everybody dies, or we break it and people live. It's like, what do you do? What do you do? Do they live? Do they die? And so do we break this or not? So yeah, the Federation. I mean, we've seen the dark side of the Federation all the way back to Star Trek VI, the episode "Conspiracy," which was actually more of an alien invasion, body snatcher type thing. But you saw elements of it in DS9 with some of the elements of the Federation. Star Trek Insurrection. They had that Admiral in there that got the ultimate.
Yeah, Admiral Dougherty.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, even Federation inside, we've always seen some bad apples. Even back to the original series, you had some people that were bad apples in Starfleet, but still, they got overcame in one fashion.
Section 31.
Yep. I mean, when we're first
Section 31's
introduced to
got some
Sloan,
characters in it too.
Oh yeah.
When we're first introduced to Sloan, we don't know what side he's on at first, and then we start learning more about him and more about Section 31, especially when they're trying to recruit Bashir into Section 31.
Yep.
I mean, I don't want it to sound like, Star Trek's always had, rainbows and lollipops and all that. It has had its dark moments. I get it.
Right.
But they still keep it in the confines of the universe that Gene Roddenberry laid down.
We're striving to be better.
I mean, in the pale moonlight, Cisco basically had no choice.
Yes, they did.
But to bring the Romulans into the war. And who did he team up with? Garrick.
Plain, simple, Kirk.
And that's such a powerful episode, because at the end of that episode, Cisco asks the question, would he do it again? And his ultimate answer is yes, he would, for the safety of the Alpha Quadrant. I mean, yeah, we all know that under different showrunners, Star Trek is going to change in one way or another. We saw changes under Rick Berman, and we're seeing changes for the last few years now under Kurtzman. But you still, in my view, have to maintain the core values of Star Trek, which are primarily showing that we, as the human race, have gone beyond our petty differences. and we're able to work together. Give us that bright, optimistic future that everybody yearns for. And would anyone else like to add to that?
Uh,
I'll let Chilling go.
yeah, I think as long as there's whatever the project is, movie, TV show, what have you, as long as in the storyline there is always an inkling of light at the end of the tunnel,
Mhm.
then they'll probably be okay, and as long as they don't screw too much with other things as well. But if you lose any sense of hope, then you've lost the essence of the Roddenberry period.
Right, and a lot of New Trek is loss of hope. It's dystopian, and it's Star Trek is utopian. Obviously, utopia is impossible to inspire, but that's the ideals of Next Generation. The opposite of dystopian. But it's like let's have Hunger Games in space now. Really, honestly, this isn't even as dark as DS9 could get. It was still hope. It was still hopeful.
Mhm.
Man has to struggle. We do have to struggle through life. Not everything's perfect. Obviously, we can't be that perfect kumbaya society without having some struggle in a drama. It'd be the most boring show there is. Um, one of the problems that Roddenberry had with Next Generation when he first started, it's like we're all kumbaya. We have no fights amongst ourselves. It's like, that's passion. You can't take passion away. It's just how are those fights? Are the respectful arguments? The banter between Spock and McCoy. I mean, you could tell that these two people liked each other and cared for each other. They wouldn't necessarily admit it to anybody, but the banter, we know people that banter like that back and forth.
Mhm.
And we appreciate that banter. They needed more of that in Next Generation, in my opinion. But they were too busy with the Kumbaya. Obviously, when Roddenberry died, that started going to the wayside. You had that a little bit with next DS9, which is why it was so nice to see that show the way it was. But Chrisman, Trek is like, who can we shit on with Star Trek? All the other Star Treks. So what do we shit on now? I think Doomcock even had one time where they had a character basically is supposed to be the epitome of Gene Roddenberry in the ship, and his job was to clean up the exploding bodies with a smarmy asshole engineer or whoever that was on board the ship. I never seen the episode, but I've seen the clip, and it's like you never have a character like her in Star Trek.
Mm-mm.
You never would. The mean, vindictive, witch like that, and even doing what you did, let's demean the legacy of Roddenberry by having this character somewhat named for Roddenberry cleaning up all the body parts, which is not necessary.
Yeah.
Star Trek The Motion Picture was a G-rated film when it first came out. One of the most tragic scenes in there was the transporter accident. Thing is, you never saw. You just heard the phrase, "What we got back didn't live long." Fortunately, that's all you needed.
Yeah.
You didn't need to see anything.
Yeah.
And Black Dragon, on the part that I was saying earlier, it's a nice fantasy. Unfortunately, reality says different. But
Yeah.
in today's day and age, even before today's day and age, isn't it nice after a long week to escape into that fantasy, even just for an hour?
Well, and that's just it. We do look for fantasy. We want to get away from it. That's why we have these tales. That's why we have the legends and lores. Yeah, you have like the fairy tales. I'm talking about true fairy tales, not the Disneyfied, which were cautionary tales. These stories did not end well for the characters, mostly, not like we had with Disney. Your Aesop fables, which is supposed to bring knowledge and thought. Your legends and lore, the old mythological heroes and gods and the battles they have. Yes, they're fanciful, they're powerful, but the thing is obviously back in those days, they were being worshipped, but for us, these are things that wow and amaze us, and it take us away from the crap we have to go through life. And having hope for a better future, yeah, I'll take that fantasy. I've said this story once before. When I was involved in the Star Trek fan organization, our group was invited to go to a air show commemorating veterans. It was called LZ, at that time, it was LZ Bravo. Every year they changed the last name. It was LZ Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and so on. But they invited us to this one. And we're all kind of scratching our heads. Why the hell are you asking us, a science fiction fan club, to come to this air show with veterans from World War II, Korea, Vietnam, all these wonderful warbirds all around us, even the Harrier jet, flyovers by a B-52. Why are we here? And it hit on me when one guy walked up to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, here we go. We're going to get what the F are you doing here, you morons? No. He sat back and said, it's really great seeing you here. He goes, for an hour at a certain time, when we're in Vietnam, the war ended for that hour because Star Trek was on. Star Trek was showing military people in a good light. They were showing them doing good things, while back at home we were being spit upon, called child killers. Just being discriminated against for not getting jobs because you're a veteran. You want to hear about discrimination? There's discrimination, folks. It wasn't just racially. It was also for service to this country. And people were being denied that back in those days. But Star Trek, he said, gave us hope that this is where the military should be going in the future. Yes, protecting, but exploring. And that stuck with me for the longest time, even to the point that when Gene Roddenberry decreed, when Next Generation came out, that this is a paramilitary organization. What? Don't be insulting. It's a military organization, but this is the way it should be. Yes, fantasy. But we have to remember it's fantasy and not let it override reality. It's an escapism for an hour, 2 hours, whatever. Tim, as if you're watching a movie or you're doing a marathon of episodes or going to a convention. But we all have to put our pants on or our skirts on or whatever and go out the next Monday to our jobs and face the fucking world. We need that fantasy. And what they did to destroy Star Trek, Kurtzman and Abrams and those guys, what they did to destroy Star Trek took away that fantasy that we need. And I'm going to have to go mute here for a moment because my daughter showed up and I'm going to have dogs barking. So I'm going to get off my soapbox, and anybody else wants to sit on it, go right ahead.
All right. And real quick, I am going to thank Daryl the Derelict for stopping by. I really appreciate it. You know that you're more than welcome to hop on Pop Talk anytime you have a free moment. And I do want to say hello to President Neckbeard, who says, why do you obsess over a television show? Well,
okay. Can I just have one quick answer to that?
Yeah.
I answered it with my rant, sir. I answered it with my rant. These are our stories. These are the things that get us through. These are our myths and legends. Before, it used to be on scrolls. Then it was put in books. Then it was on plays. Then it was on radio. Then it was in movies. Then it was on TV. Why? Are you obsessed with sports? What are you obsessed with? And what is your obsession
President
over what you're obsessed
please tell us what you care about. Because these are the things that we care about. I know you're a troll, but I'm going to address the troll.
Yeah, I'm addressing the troll too.
I'm going to put you on the spot. You're going to come in here and say, why are we obsessed over a television show? Because it's something we care about. We obsess about things we care about, people we care about.
Right.
Here's this. Hey, President Neckbeard, you a fan of Halo? Look what they did to Halo. He takes off the mask and he has sex with a woman.
Yeah.
That.
Are you a brony? Look what they did with the bronies. with My Little Pony. Are you a brony? I mean, what are you? What are you obsessed over?
You like
Obviously,
Star Wars? See what they did to Luke Skywalker? That's self-explanatory, but
are you obsessed being a
Oh
troll?
dear Lord! Don't get me started on the sequel.
Yeah. Are you basically obsessed about being a troll? And you're
I
right,
don't
and that's the
care.
biggest lie in the world.
That's the biggest lie in the world.
We all care about something.
You're trolling yourself.
Yeah.
Yep.
You don't. So do you look at a ceiling? But you care, obviously, to comment on this. You care about something. You care.
There's something about this that you felt it necessary to chime in and say to all of us who are here right now. Why are we obsessing over a TV show? You obviously care about something. You may not want to say what it is, but you care about something.
You care about clout.
Yeah. I am being respectful right now because I'm not going to bash anyone for their opinion on this episode of Picard. But when someone comes in and says, why are you obsessing over a TV show? It's because we care about something. I'm a Cubs fan. Whether they play good, whether they play bad, I still care about how the team performs. I'm a Star Trek fan and Star Wars fan. If I get a good story, I'm going to praise it to high heaven. If I get a bad story, I'm going to say exactly why it's a bad story. If I'm playing a game, guess what? Same thing. Don't come into my house and disrespect the chat or the panel. This isn't the first time I've had to address this on Pop Talk. You are a guest. You are in someone's home. Be respectful.
I am being respectful, huh?
LOL, yeah. Well, you know what, President Neckbeard? Yeah. And it leads me to this clip because after this, you are blocked.
All right, youngster, out you go.
Don't come back. Ever.
Everyone report that guy for being. Why do people just come on here? Like, they got nothing better to do. Children, like, they gotta attack. Like, I enjoy like messing with the idiots, but like, you just gotta ask yourself, why did they do this? Like, why do they put so much effort?
Because they have
so
nothing
little?
better to do. Their lives mean so little to them that they'd rather come to a live stream and troll that live stream. And by the way, everyone, he's been blocked.
You blocked me too. Where am I?
That's an opinion. Start your own channel.
Yep.
Nick,
that
you feel that strongly about it? Start your own channel.
Everybody can do it.
That's all you got to do.
YouTube's an open platform. You know, everybody who's here right now, I'm going to highlight you because you're all family on Pop Talk. Jet Sparks has a channel. Tommy and the Guinea Pig Collective has a channel. Kathy Skywalker has a channel. Shay has a channel.
Okay.
Max has a channel. And, Arwen has a channel. Apollome's Minion has a channel. Daryl the Derelict has a channel. So, yeah. And you want to know why? Because they want to get their voices out there and share what they love and also talk about what's going on. And Chillin' in the Basement has a channel. I could have ignored that. Horny Alf even has a channel. But no, you don't come into my house and disrespect me or my guests. And I will call you out.
And luckily, I've only had that happen to me once so far, but I haven't been streaming very long. Only like a couple months.
And normally we don't want to address trolls or whatever, but sometimes you gotta. Sometimes you gotta. I mean, I know Jess Park says don't feed the troll. Well, there's sometimes we have to do that because we got to make the point. It's like it starts. Let's face it, we belittle him.
Is it healing?
Sometimes you just got to make an example just to remind people what's going on.
Right. I mean, he didn't get the reaction he wanted from us. He was expecting something else from us. He didn't expect to have have it coming back at him like that. And that's the big important thing. So, it's like
I'd much rather use that.
I mean, we already got a troll. We got the best troll in the world. His name is Phil McCracken. Phil McCracken. Phil McCracken.
Phil McCracken is the only one because he is a member of this channel. And I'm not monetized, but I'm saying he's a member of the PACIFIC414 family. The only one who can give us crap and get away with it.
In fact,
everyone else,
like a variety pack.
When you come in, be respectful.
I mean, especially that's why we have this.
This is Patrick Stewart, and I wish to tell Phil McCracken that I hate him also.
And
that one
you know,
server?
What was that?
It was Uber Duck.
I was just wondering if there's that one service where you can get pay for quotes from famous people or whatever, but I can't remember what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not that one. We got Uber Duck. Crit would know what it is, but I think he fell asleep.
I was looking at his account and it seemed new. So this was
he was a troll.
Right, interesting. Yeah.
Well, right. It's just somebody who doesn't. It's somebody that's out there, has no life, no meaning to life, and he looks like the gamer from South Park. That was killing everybody in the World of Warcraft, just sitting there, and he gets his jollies. He takes his little tweezers out and make sure there's plenty of lube on it, so he can jerk himself off, and finds out the tweezers is still too big. So I mean, that's the type of person that he is, or it might have been a she for all we know. I don't know. I mean, are we even? I guess we're misgendering. Maybe it's a thing. I don't know. Maybe he tucks his little peenie and dances around like Cowboy Bob or whatever his name is from Silence of the Lambs.
Buffalo.
Buffalo Bob. Thank you. Buffalo Bill. It puts the lotion on his skin, or else
probably goes on Twitter and says, "Oh, how can you like this Harry Potter stuff? I'm gonna dox your friends and family." Oh yeah.
Well,
guess what? I'm gonna continue streaming Hogwarts Legacy. Why? Because it's a fun game. I'm enjoying it.
Oh my! You have no characters.
I got a few people that I watch stream it. It's a great game.
Yeah, I've seen it. I mean, I'm not a big Harry Potter fan, but I've read all the books. I've seen most of the movies, but it looks good. I'd be tempted to get it, but it's just too expensive for me right now.
Yeah. So, gentlemen.
Hey, watch it! Watch it!
Yeah, but even
I don't know if I gentlemen to me.
Did someone come down the stairs behind me?
Just thought we'd go ahead and shift the conversation and talk about a topic that might be on your mind, or we can talk about one of the articles I was looking at. And
well, I want to address something here. We've lost a hell of a lot of good. Well, I mean, let's face it, they were, in some ways, some of them were sex symbols, like Gina Lola Brigida, Raquel Welch, and Stella Stevens have all passed away within the last week or so. Richard Belzer passed away, comedian, and was on the Law and Orders. And, of course, we got, and, of course, this is not political, so don't take this as anything political and keep it respectful on both sides. Word came down that former President Jimmy Carter has been put into hospice.
I did see that last night.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I just wanted to address some of the sad things that we have out there, and again, it depends on how you view it. You keep that to yourself, because I didn't want to turn political, but it's just sad that we're seeing all these people go, and especially when it comes around to the sex symbols. Who are we going to replace? Because these women were all natural, man.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Raquel Welch, I've said it before. She was my first crush.
Mm. Linda Carter here, but that's beside the point.
RJ was all natural.
He was the
so.
second one.
Yeah. But yeah, Raquel Welch was, and she wasn't afraid of it either. How many women out there were so, I don't want to be identified as a sex symbol. She didn't mind it. She realized realized where it came from, and she also, I can't remember who she was working with, but basically saying embrace your fans. So she realized these people are big fans of me because I did 1 million BC and a Fantastic Voyage, where basically I was the sex symbol.
Mm-hmm.
And so she embraced that. She was wise on that. She didn't go after the fans that were fans because she was good looking.
No, because she had class, which is something a lot of Hollywood right now doesn't have. Class.
That's something that most of the people you would call elite, quote unquote, have a problem with. I swear, it's like the more quote unquote elite you get, obviously there are always exceptions to the rule, but the more classless you get for some reason. I have never understood it myself, but I've always been poor, so.
I've always had to work for things, and having had to work for things, I think a lot of us can say this because that's what a lot of us do. We work for things. We appreciate it more.
Amen. No participation trophies here, man. You go out there and nothing to fix our self-esteem. Our self-esteem came from the fact that we tried.
Mm-hmm.
Whether we won or lose, we tried.
Yeah.
And because we didn't win or get to then place where we wanted to, it only drove us more to try to get there. Or sometimes it did the other. It showed us that no, this is not the right path for you. There's a different path for you that you do and excel at. Take that.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly. Don't show this other one though. I hope Paul's not around because I don't know if he could handle that one.
If Paul, the Star Wars guy, saw that comment, he would have something to say about it.
He'd make us all watch the Lost 24 hours.
What's was enough for Tuesday Night Trek? Is there anything else
Master
anybody would
Paul
like to
can
talk
fluff
about?
my pillows Navy style any day.
So, chilling in the basement, to give you a backstory on some of these clips, we have the gentleman who Baron mentioned named Phil McCracken, and he likes to troll, and he'll go onto everybody's channels, and if you're on camera, in this case, Paul is usually on camera, and you can see his bed and his pillows. If they're not fluffed to Navy standards, with Paul having been in the Navy, then Phil will really get on his case about it. But it's all in good fun.
Oh yeah, we bust each other chops,
right?
But it's because we're family.
Yeah, we have all become family.
You should hear us when we're not on the show. Oh my!
Even Phil has said it.
At work.
Yeah.
You're in trouble with my job if people stop giving you crap.
Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, I must have done something wrong because nobody's picking on me today. And I don't know about you, but you go into your workplace and you expect people at work to pick on you over something. It's like I can remember one time I was telling a department head that her merchandise was ready, and I didn't look up to see that she was already in the back room, and my team laughed. They're all, Mike, she's already back here. I said, well, okay, thanks for knowing what I was going to do ahead of time. I didn't have a smart aleck remark to get back to. It's like, oh, shit. That's what I get for not looking up. But on this channel, I like to have fun during Pop Talk. I like to keep everything loose, and that's what I
I
want
mean,
to
if you're not
continue to
having
do.
fun, why would you do this anyway?
Exactly. You have to have fun to do YouTube. So, just to let you guys know what stories I did have lined up, and we don't have to talk about them. They're just, you know, stories I was looking at. And one of them is from Cosmic Book News. I Am Legend 2 moving forward with Will Smith and Michael B. Jordan. Question is, why do we need an I Am Legend 2 when the first one ended the way it did? And I also have a story that there's going to be an unrated version of Megan released when the movie comes out on digital and Blu-ray. Another story I have is Toonami is going to air a One Piece, Dragon Ball Z, and Toroko anime crossover on March 4th. And another story I have, Classic Axis and Allies game returns this year. I have another story, Dungeons and Dragons Cartoon Classics Wave 2 fills out the team. Yes, Baron, I was specifically looking for something Dungeons and Dragons related just to grind your gears just a little bit.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And I also have a story that says Seth MacFarlane will adapt to the Shrouded College for Peacock. And another story I have from CBR says Brian Cranston seemingly debunks Malcolm in the Middle revival claims.
Good. We don't need a revival.
No, we don't. We don't.
No.
And I also have Box Office Mojo up with the latest box office numbers. So, would you like to talk about any of those stories, or is there something on your mind that you would like to discuss?
Well, for me, we definitely don't need another I Am Legend. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I really don't care about the Megan release, honestly. I haven't seen the movie, and if people want to watch an unrated version of that, whatever. I don't care. I don't have to. So, I am very interested in the box office numbers, though. As a
Okay.
Marvel
Yeah, me
nerd,
too.
I want to know what Quantumania is doing for sure.
All right, let's go ahead and take
But
a
as
look at
for
it.
anime, I'm missing that sticker on my nerd card. I haven't gotten into that yet.
I've gotten into some animes and other animes I just can't get into for one reason or another. All right, so we've got the latest box office numbers for this weekend, and coming in at number one with 104 million was Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania. Then we have Avatar that came in at number two with 6.1 million. We also have Magic Mike's Last Dance, which was at 5.4 million. We have Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, and it's still earning money at 5.3 million. And we have Knock at the Cabin with 3.9 million.
I
So
mean,
I'm
who doesn't
gonna,
love a cute kitty?
yeah, true.
Were those just domestic numbers, or was that worldwide?
Worldwide right now is 357,300,000 for
Right.
Quantumania.
Probably gonna drop hard like a rock next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of the reviews that have been coming out
Yeah,
for
that's not good.
it
You need
haven't
at least
been.
4 or 5 to good thing to be.
Yeah.
Such optimism.
And let's see. Avatar at this point has made $2 billion. And of course, its strongest market is overseas, just like with the first one.
Yeah. Well, it needed to make that much just to make money. That thing was expensive.
And let's see. Magic Mike's Last Dance. There's an audience for everything. It has made 18 million here, 19 million international for a worldwide total of 38,490,454. So, and let's see.
Wow.
Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. It has made 167 million here domestically, and it's made 255 million internationally for a total of $423,358,100. Not bad. Not bad.
That's pretty decent for an animated feature.
Yeah. Who knows? You may even see another Shrek sequel. You never know. And Knock at the Cabin has made 30 million domestically, 16 million internationally for a total of $47,879,270.
I hope that puppy didn't cost more than like 10 or 12 million to make, or they're screwed.
Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna look something up real quick. Okay. I'm just gonna look and see when Cocaine Bear.
Oh yeah, that is wasn't this 24th?
That's next Friday or this upcoming Friday.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Wasn't sure if it was this Friday or if it was, the following week. Yeah, it's gonna be the 24th, so that's gonna be this Friday.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that one does because, I mean, just the title screams B movie.
Yeah, but you know what? Bear
movie on the Sci-Fi Network like Sharknado.
Mm-hmm. But Baron and I
got
were
a cult following quickly.
Yeah, it did. And Baron and I were talking about Cocaine Bear and saying that just looks like one of those movies where you just sit back, relax, and just forget about everything for an hour and 40 minutes or so.
Oh, for sure.
All right, so let's see. I'm gonna go ahead.
My daughter is explaining to my wife Cocaine Bear and everything about it.
So let's go
May I
ahead
ask a
and
question?
yeah, go ahead.
A couple of you mentioned that you're Star Wars fans also. How are you all feeling about
Yes.
the upcoming season of Mandalorian in a couple weeks?
Well, I'm a little optimistic.
Where's your hype level at?
I would say 7. I think we don't need Grogu in it.
5.
But
he's
5,
he's pure
6.
marketing.
I'm gonna say a 6.
Yeah, Grogu didn't need to. The Book of Boba Fett did not need Grogu to save a King Kong Rancor. The other, I don't know. I didn't have. I think it's schlock, but it's not as bad as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh dear God.
Yeah, that I'm not even gonna get into that. But Mando, I've always had good feelings about Mando. I just think Jon Favreau enjoys. If he does how he did season 2 and 1, I think it'll be great. But again, I'm just not enthusiastic to see Grogu. I thought he had a good send off, and it's just cutesy, smaltzy BS marketing bullshit.
Well, that's all they got, really. And you can't build a franchise completely on Grogu. That's the problem.
No, it's like, oh, well, let's focus on building the Mandalorian lore and stuff. Oh, wait, no, you need Grogu in there. You need. I'm sure Cash would be going like, Grogu!
Like, I was on Twitter, and, these guys, just talking about...
Wait. You got to say it right there. These people.
Oh, sorry. And these people and their baby Grogu and Mandalorian, I just don't understand. I was on Twitter for 25 hours just, going after and talking to him and battling, and then I fell asleep on my keyboard.
Yeah, to give you a little backstory on that, chilling in the basement, we have a panelist named Cash Money 007, and there was one night he told us, I was on Twitter for the last few hours, and I was
end up
battling against these people, we just start laughing at him, just thinking, why are you wasting your time?
Yeah, the mighty Twitter warrior.
Right.
Yeah. Me and him were watching some stuff last night, and there was this guy that went, "This is the show we need," and then the show ends up getting canceled a couple weeks later. So this is the show we.
Oh, you know how much I heard that about Andor? Jesus Christ.
Oh, that's a show we need. That's a pretty good show. But it's the show people don't want, apparently.
Andor's great sci-fi. Andor's great sci-fi. It's just weak-ass Star Wars.
I can't really speak of Andor
Like if
because
they
I
named
haven't
it
watched
anything else.
I haven't.
Yeah.
Well,
At least for me, the show wouldn't change at all if you took the Star Wars label off of it.
Have you read any of the EU novels? Have you read any of the EU novels?
I've got most of the Legends novels I have are pre A New Hope.
A lot of those. Well, a lot of post OT, mid OT, Andor felt a lot like OT EU, and that a lot of that didn't feel like how you could say Star Wars, because it was different feeling compared to, and I feel like we don't have to have the same stuff in Star Wars. It's okay to do new things while not breaking away from, the problems with the sequels is mainly they need to call back the OT every 2 to 3 minutes. And that's the problems with a lot of these shows. They have to get the member berries. Oh boy, we're going back to Picard. Picard is falling in that trope. But then again, there's also another trope where everything has to be drab and dour. So you have the memory berries, but you need everything to be depressed. You need to be gray. And Andor, that was the right feeling for that show, because everything was supposed to be depressed because it's after the Empire. And the sparks of hope, there's sadness amongst it. And the one, I think the reason why a lot of people don't give Andor a chance is because they want spectacle over story. They want lightsabers, rifles, they want big battles, they want TIE fighters, they want the very stuff that's kind of hurting the Star Wars brand, because Disney is churning out brand IP over and over and over again that it is bad. Obi-Wan Kenobi felt like a Shyamalan production, for God's sakes, but people want to give it a pass because Ewan McGregor's good in it. Is he? He's just acting.
That was just horribly written.
Yes, horribly written.
Harold
but
needs to be ejected from the entire Disney campus.
No, there was problems with direction and stuff. And Andor at least felt like a real show. It felt like a real show. And people could say weak Star Wars.
I totally give it credit. It's television.
Yeah.
But it was really good television. I just don't think it needed the Star Wars label on it. But that's just me. I'm not going to dog anyone for liking Andor ever, because there's plenty
no
of
one
I
should
appreciate it.
Well, I think that's what Star Wars needs. It needs to go in new directions while not being too new. And Mandalorian is kind of going that territory, but they keep, again, Grogu is bogging it down, and they're making too many callbacks. Luke was a surprise, yes, but they ruined that immediately in Book of Boba Fett. And it's all lead up to The Last Jedi. So I understand what you're saying, but if you've read some of the shit the EU has been, like, there's some stuff in there that I'm like, this is Star Wars, but then you know what? It is Star Wars when it comes to the EU. A lot of weird, bizarre, and
Kathy said there's no
random
source material,
shit.
remember? She actually said that
She
in
did.
an interview. We don't
Yeah.
have source material. Yeah, she did. It's like, woman, you know how many hundreds of books are out there that you can adapt? Like now?
Why not have a storyline where Luke's trying to fight Abeloth, the dark Sith witch? Like, there's so many ideas, but they don't want to follow it.
How about just, not nerfing Luke, for starters?
True. I mean, look what
And
they're
Ryan Johnson.
doing on Star Wars Wikipedia.
Well,
And
they're
how-
doing to Luke what Paramount's doing to Captain Kirk. They don't like the character. Let's destroy the character. I mean, when you have an official Paramount release going out there saying the infamous Captain Kirk, you never put infamous on a hero. Infamy is a bad thing. You don't want to be known as the infamous something. He's the famous Captain Kirk, legendary Captain Kirk. Well, Paramount and Disney, all these people, all they want to do is destroy what we had before. Every time you turn around is, Ahsoka's more powerful than Luke. Oh, Rey's going to be more powerful than Luke. All these people are going to be more powerful than Luke. Everything they're trying to do is turn around and destroy the character Luke Skywalker. And of course, now with the, we're going to turn him gay now. And Mark Hamill's absolutely behind it, by the way. But it's the same as...
Of course he is. He still wants work.
Yeah.
I still think that's Wikipedia, but Wikipedia should be renamed to Wokipedia because they love to peddle this shit.
Well, yeah, they do. And if you say anything, asking questions, they ban you. They don't even want to have a discourse at all on this. It's like, why are you doing this? It's not necessary, especially with the Legends scare. You do it with your Disney garbage. Go ahead, do it with the Disney garbage, but leave the EU alone. They don't need it. We don't need it. Again, this is fantasy, just like Black Dragon was saying. Fantasy. We need it. Quit bringing in this crap. Do you want a plethora of sweaters? No. But no, it's the constant thing. Let's destroy these characters, our heroes. All the sequel trilogy, quote unquote, sequel trilogy was let's destroy all the old trilogy people and treat them like bitches. They're doing the same thing with Star Trek with the original cast, the original crew, except for Sulu. He's cool. He's cool now because he does all those tweets out there. He doesn't like Shatner.
Well, that's Takei's problem.
Yeah, he's got a lot of problems.
Don't forget, John Munch died today. So,
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
yeah, Detective John Munch passed away today.
Oh yeah, and another one too. Belzer and the guy who did the music, where the combat music for the original series, he passed away too. Da 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 da. Probably one of the most famous music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably the most iconic one compared, even more so than the da 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 da. I mean, they should have kept. They should put that in Next Generation somewhere.
Yeah, I love that fight music.
It's
So
classic.
That sucks.
Yeah,
it is. I'm gonna lose
mean,
if John Williams passes.
Oh gosh.
I don't like you can whatever IP you're a fan of. For me, John Williams is the greatest movie scorer ever.
Mm-hmm.
Period. For me.
Oh yeah, I mean, you think about not just Star Wars, but all the movies he's written music for. It's all iconic.
Oh yeah.
Even TV shows, lots of space.
Mm-hmm.
Superman.
Yeah.
Christopher Reeve. Superman the movie.
Yeah, he's a very impressive one. You mean Goldsmith is a good second, I'd say, because of all the ones he did, and of course The wonderful theme they did for Star Trek: The Motion Picture, which was of course used for Next Generation, and other ones for the Star Trek movies. The First Contact theme, uh, and such like that. I mean, he did a lot of great work too. I'd put him as a very close second to John Williams, and I'm a particular fan of Horner. I mean, really, I mean, he had a way to give you that nautical feel for Star Trek too.
Alan Silvestri, Alex North.
I like Elfman. Elfman's fun for the kooky music.
Oh yeah, he great job for Batman. He did a great job with Batman.
Elfman was good back in the 80s and 90s. I think his work is samey nowadays.
Well, yeah, when he was part of Oingo Boingo, and then when struck on his.
Yeah, if you've heard his scores recently, they're bland. It's I don't feel it like Alan Silvestri and a lot of scores nowadays are bland. I mean, John Williams is still the same as he is, and Alan Silvestri is also. If you've seen the Avengers films. But I don't know. A lot of
I don't know.
I miss Horner and
I love the Avengers theme.
Na.
I mean, there's a lot of great music out there for television and motion picture, and it's the thing that helps keep us. And I think the composers need to remember, and I think John Williams has it in his head on that. Think of it as making modern classical music to go along with a movie, and when you start losing that focus that you're doing classical music. I think that's when you start getting, like you were saying, the blandness. One of the things that really struck me when with Babylon 5 is when Christopher Frank, or Frankie, or however you want to pronounce it, from Tangerine Dream, he did their music, and when they had the opening, and the space and the music is like, this feels like a motion picture experience on a small screen, and that would help draw me, and even more with Babylon 5 was his music. The uniqueness that he had with his music. It's just amazing how those help take you down those roads of escapism. And a lot. I don't understand how they can do it week after week, or even how can they write these scores with all these instruments? It's like it just boggles me, and I'm in total utter awe.
Oh, it's crazy.
Of all these people. Yeah.
Oh.
Like, have you ever watched the movie Amadeus? About Mozart?
Yeah, way back in the day. I haven't seen it in a long time. Oh yeah, I was high school back then, and I tell you what, the high schoolers went nuts over that film.
I'm trying to remember. I think I was on 47 now, so definitely upper elementary, maybe junior high. No, when the hell did that come out? I don't even remember when it came out anymore. Was it mid-late
I'd
80s,
say
right?
about 85, 86, somewhere around there.
Google. 84. All right, so I was 9.
I was 6 in 84.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Crit was just a gleam in his father's eye in 84.
Baroni.
Crit was still brewing.
I was brewing.
Yeah, he was brewing, but I think they should have kept it the fermented a little bit longer.
Orcas come out early.
You speak of Alan Silvestri, and I've had multiple cassettes and multiple CDs of the Back to the Future soundtrack, and Back to the Future Part 2, Back to the Future Part 3. And the reason why is because I wore them out from listening to them so much, because it's an enjoyable score. When you hear the different pieces of music, you know exactly what scene it came from. And you can say the lines, at least for some people, verbatim. And I've said it before on Pop Talk. I've said it other places too. To me, music is what really helps drive the story.
Oh yeah, music can make or break your content for sure. If you got wag music, you're just going to take whoever's watching it right out of it, and they're not even going to care anymore.
Yep. And excuse me while I make a quick edit to the title. Because I put season 1 for Picard, and it's actually season 3 we were talking about earlier. So that is my bad. That's all on me.
Oh no, Mike screwed up again. It's time to throw him out.
Right now, but
All right. Okay. I'll see myself out.
No, I'll do it for you.
Oh, yeah, my Christmas gift to you. I was gonna take you out. I don't think I ever.
Hey, there's a whale above me.
But I was going.
Yeah, yes, sir. There is a well above you.
Killer whale.
Yes.
Oh, he is. Trust me.
Lord Crit of Everest Productions. And folks, please take the time to subscribe to everybody who is here on the panel. I put their links into the chat. I will make sure to put everybody's links into the description. As a matter of fact, I can do that right now before I forget about it. It's something I just try to do for anybody who's on the panel. And
I feel you on that one. If I don't do it now, it probably won't get done. I'll forget.
I'll be asking myself later on, okay, who was all on the panel earlier?
I don't know.
You're no help, Barrett. You're no help at all.
I never have been
today.
All right, I got everybody's username into the description.
Huzzah!
Yeah, when you hear Jerry Goldsmith's Star Trek: The Motion Picture theme, it's a beautiful theme, especially when Kirk and Scotty are going over to the Enterprise. Yeah, some people say it takes a little too long to get over to the Enterprise, but they're building it up. They want you to see the refit of the Enterprise, how it looks in the motion picture to compare to how it looked in the original series.
It was the one slow scene in the movie I forgave completely because I said it before. When you see the Enterprise refit, that's like seeing your old high school sweetheart again. And my God, she's even better looking. I mean, and it gave us fans. It was eye candy for the fans. So you get all this detailed look at the Enterprise, which we never had in the original series. And of course, then you had the music over it. This, everything about that was just wonderful. And that's the one, people complain, oh, it's so long. It's like, then you don't get it. This is, going through the cloud was too long and other things were too long, but this was needed for the fans to see our beautiful lady back again.
Absolutely. And I'll be right back, Baron. So you have the con.
Oh, my word. We're in trouble now.
I told him. And he said, okay.
Okay. Well, sorry. Go ahead.
Star Trek or anything else. When it comes to Star Trek or anything else, ship-based, the ships have to be dope and they have to look good.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're definitely trying to get your fan base to stay on board with what you're doing, then you need to have a mix probably of the original. Like first time I saw the TNG ship, the Galaxy class, I was like, ooh, because they gave it an homage to the original, but obviously a lot of upgrades, including a detachable saucer section, which is dope.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
I mean, as long as you're staying at least somewhat true to the feel of the original ship that's everyone's used to, if not even just, in the case of Star Trek Motion Picture, just some upgrades, it was still the original ship. Just, some new bells and whistles. But yeah, as long as you're staying true to at least the original vibe, then you can get creative, but you can also not piss too many people off at the same time.
Well, that, and you're seeing kind of the important thing right there. You're talking about reference to what has come before. And yes, you want to do new. You want to, explore beyond, obviously, because it's going to be a different group. But you still want to keep it within the realms of that universe, which a lot of people have lost, even with the designs. I mean, take a look at the designs that they have for STD and all that for their ships. It's like, or even the Abrams films. It's like, where do you get these ideas?
Ooh, that's a good
I think the
idea.
most ugly Enterprises were the ones that were in the movies. It's Abrams one, I should say. They look like tortured sheet metal. Where's the reverence? Where's the love? Where's the joy? And whether it's with the music, does it awe and inspire you like it should? Which I think both Horner and Goldsmith did with Star Trek 1 and Star Trek 2 and 3, for that matter. It's just, you need to be respectful of the property if you're going to be involved in the property. If you're not, just go away. Just leave. We don't need you. And yeah, I mean, look at all those ships in STO. There's a lot of ugly ships in STO. I don't know what they're smoking, but give me some. And the USS Anachronism, exactly. I mean, those ships that they have in STD look like they're out of future Trek, not something that's supposed to be in the 23rd century. There's no love or care to keep things have a symmetry to it. I suppose that's the important word, symmetry. And right now, my daughter and my wife are in the background making sure we have tickets for Cocaine Bear on Thursday.
Hi, guys.
Yeah. So
excellent.
I'm seeing Cocaine Bear, man. I'm seeing Cocaine Bear. Yeah, and I guess my my lovely daughter is going to be dragging her fiance along with too. Like, he doesn't have a choice.
Yay!
Well, I'm definitely going to go see it. I just don't know if I'm going to go Friday or if I'm going to go sometime Saturday.
I guess it's out now. I mean, they're going through.
No, it's out on Thursday.
Oh, it's out on Thursday. It's out on Thursday. My apologies. So they lied to me. Lied!
Ticket
So I can't wait, actually.
And give them this QR.
I hope this is a good movie.
Well, if it is a good movie, great. If it's not a good movie, you can always riff it.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. I'm sure we'll be talking about it on, guess what? Pop Talk.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I want to go see it, is so I can talk about it and let folks know, should they go see it or should they skip it. It's the same thing I did when I saw Megan. But you know what? Let me check it out for myself. This way I can make an opinion and I'm not speaking out of my ass.
Oh, I speak out of my ass all the time, so that's my thing.
Okay, that's a...
Because we have to keep this up.
How many assholes we got on this ship anyhow? Yo! I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
I just love that there's one guy still sitting, though. If you never noticed, there's one guy sitting, so there's one person who's not an asshole.
And Shay has this question for you, Baron. Will you be enjoying Coca-Cola while watching Cocaine Bear?
Drinking rum and Coca-Cola. I don't know. It depends what they have in the theater.
Waiting for John Wick 4.
I haven't seen any of the John Wick films, so
we're gonna have to do a watch party, Mike.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, Mike, you put yourself in a corner now.
Well,
I haven't seen it either. So
you know what? You know what they said about Baby. You don't put Baby in the corner. You don't put Pacific in the corner either.
you're in the corner, man. Oh, but Cocaine! I can't wait for Cocaine Bear. That sounds like fun. They just need to have a stupid, fun movie.
Yeah.
Hopefully, they're going to be keeping the woke off. That's I pray.
I have to go here soon, but thank you for having me on.
Oh, not a
Okay.
problem, Crit. I'm glad you were able to come on.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Orca Boy.
Solely about the cocaine
Of course.
and the rampage.
What's of course what? Oh, you're okay.
Of course.
I thought you.
And before you go, Crit, is there anything you'd like to promote?
Nothing going on right now. I'm still working on stuff. Hopefully something will come soon. Oh, wait. We got a movie review this week. We decided to skip a week. We're doing Dragon Slayer.
Great movie.
And then we might do another because me and Cash watched Legend the other night. And I said if we did a review of that, we would rewatch the director's cut because we watched the theatrical, and the director's cut's very different from the theatrical. But
Talking
yeah,
that one from the 80s with like super young Tom Cruise.
yes, Tim Curry. Yeah, we watched the one with the 80s score, the theatrical. It was a short movie, but it's a good down memory lane. Cash had never seen it, so I figured out.
It's been a long time since I've seen that movie.
Same here.
I'll have to
I have not
restream
watched
it.
it this century. I can tell you that.
Oh yeah, I second that. I haven't seen it this century either.
Yeah, well, I think that might be. Oh wait. After Dragon Slayer, I do have another movie. We're not going to do The Wheel, but after Dragon Slayer, the following week, we are going to do The Road Warrior.
Okay.
Ooh.
And I'm going to try to rope Master Paul into that stream. So that's all I got planned now.
He's got to see Road Warrior, man. That is a great post-apocalyptic film. Wonderful.
I enjoy it, and again, that's another film I haven't watched this century. I watched it last century.
Oh, I've seen that too long ago. It's a movie that doesn't have much dialogue. It's a visual film. I think Max only had 29 lines.
He only has a couple lines in the movie. I was inspired because me and Cash are watching The Fist of the North Star about the Master and the post-apocalyptic nuclear war, and it reminded me a lot of Mad Max. And I'm like, you could skip the first Mad Max, but you could just go straight into the Road Warrior because it's separate from the. But if you want the full story, the first movie's there, but the Road Warrior works as its own movie too.
Mm-hmm. But it works perfectly for the first one.
Yes, it works. It is a good intro into what Mad Max is. But yeah, that's what I got planned. So again, thank you for having me on.
Not a problem, Crit. As a matter of fact, I think now's a good time to end this edition of PACIFIC414 Pop Talk.
Oh, really?
Chilling in the basement. Is there anything you'd like to promote?
I'd probably just go off
Just
the
myself.
that's
all right.
If you go visit my channel, depending on how much I work is how often I get an actual video up. But I stream live every Saturday night at 9 Eastern, talking about the nerdy news of the week and stuff I've seen. And
is that the daycare Audrey used to work at?
You may have all heard about prior to, but I like to rehash it just to get it all in everyone's brain over the weekend.
Doesn't she work
at my own Discord server and a Twitter? The links to both of those are in on my channel. So
okay,
stop on by. I I do.
Well, I
nerdy
appreciate
things.
you coming on. I really do. It's nice to get a new
I appreciate you
panelist on
allowing
the
it.
show, and
Oh yeah, love it.
Grandpa drive me nuts.
I get tired of hearing
Like
crit
how
stuff all the time.
specific they
You need to
give
get some
certain
fresh.
things.
you get tired of hearing my point of view all the time. Come on, Barrett.
That too.
Never once
Remember, I'm always right.
Mhm. Yeah, no,
Rule number one.
I appreciate when anyone gives me time on their channel. So thank you.
Well, it's something I try to do here. I used to do it every single episode of Pop Talk, but for the new year, I thought maybe I don't need to do it every single episode of Pop Talk, so I'll do it twice a month. This way, folks can still come on and we can get a different point of view on an article that we read or a topic of discussion, whatever it may be for that episode.
Exactly.
And Baron, is there anything you'd like to promote?
Well, I mean, tonight at 5 o'clock Central Standard Time will be the Kings, the Primetime Kings of live stream with the Tower of Power himself, 24/7 Fusion Media, the ever mysterious Vigilante Williamson, cruising in his hot rod and taking a break from the Hollywood Nights. It'll be New Bomb Turk and myself. So who knows what we'll be talking about tonight. We never plan a show, and if we do, it goes off the rail right away. And I'll be missing this week's Pop Talk. It's Ash Wednesday, so I won't be on this week. So everyone will be blissfully relieved not to have me around. In a pain in the ass. Other than that, not much.
What do you mean I'm going to be relieved? Dude,
Well, I'm sure
don't ever sell yourself that short.
Yeah. Well, you'll have crit, I'm sure. You'll probably have Cash and Phil and the usual band of goofballs.
And I posted the link to tonight's Primetime Kings on 24 Fusion Media's channel. And as far as tonight is concerned, here on PACIFIC414, I will be doing a live review of the 6th episode of The Last of Us. And that is scheduled to start at 10:20. It just all depends on how long the episode is and how quickly I can have everything set up to give that review. And then Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, I will continue on with Hogwarts Legacy. And then, of course, Wednesday, for the Wednesday edition of PACIFIC414 Pop Talk, also at 6 p.m. Eastern. And I will double check with Wednesday's guests just to make sure that they're still available, or if we have to reschedule for another day and another time.
To Vegas.
Are you going to have the peanut gallery when you play Hogwarts?
It depends. If the peanut gallery is available, then
I want to be on there so I can get called to that stuff. Come on, put me on. I want to have fun.
Well, who knows? We might have a troll like President Neckbeard. You never know.
You never
I still think I
know.
was a junior hire.
Yeah.
I think so.
And before I leave, this is just something I try to do on Pop Talk for each and every episode. I want to thank everybody who was here. I want to thank Lorenzo Sleestack for being here. I also want to thank Captain Fandom Nerd for being here. I also want to thank Real Wade Gaming Clips for being here. And I also want to thank Arwen Avalon for being here. Along with Sci-Fi Nation. We had Daryl the Derelict. We also had Tripping Orc. Resolute Germ. Apollome's Minion. Tommy and the Guinea Pig Collective. We had JT Gunn, Late Night with Cap. And we also had Cavatino Cavalryman Shay. We also had Fantastic Fun Federation Ferengi Fantasy February.
Wow.
We also had...
Dear God. Alliteration.
We also had Magitech Mags. Thank you, Mags. We also had Action Man Gaming. Jet Sparks 373. Low Spec Linux Laptop. Horny Alf.
Oh, I didn't even see him coming.
And yes, I did start because you know what? That junior hire may have been a troll and trying to, rattle all of us, but you know what? You gave us a view. So, thank you, President Neckbeard.
You moron.
Could have said it better myself, Baron. And Captain says, thank you. No, thank you, Captain. Thank you, everybody, for your continued support to the channel. Please subscribe to everybody who was here on the panel. And until next time, remember, I'm not just a baseball guy. I'm an all-around guy. Have a good one, everyone.
Enjoy your Sunday off.
No coupons for you, pal. No coupons for you, pal. No.
Pop Talk is where it's at, baby.